Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
There are chimney fires every year in this house. The thing about wood burned is that it is hard to regulate temperature. It is too hot or not warm enough. We have had experts and city fire stop by. They don't stay for coffee and know us by name, which is how it is in a small town. We tend to lay blame at the feet of anyone who resided here before, like any good witch hunt. Maybe the people with small dogs who raised rabbits and kids, or it might have been the homesteaders who built this house. They had goats and chickens and carved their names into the skin of this place. The first house fire was at age 3. Smoke is what I remember best, and my mother, and being tired under a scratchy blanket in a cold fire truck with no lights. We were staying with friends, which I didn't know for most of my life meant homeless. I did not learn who was to blame for most of my life either. It was just some stuff on the heater. After that, my mother was extra careful about wood floors, floor heaters, things on them, and toys inside. When you yell into vents, it echoes and lives there. I am the best at starting fires. In the worst years of my addiction, which is all of them, I was issued fire protective gear, complete with red suspenders and a hard hat. I was paid by our landlord to set fire to our barn. We dragged in a house and also several million homes. It had to be torn down after the livestock kept dying there. I forgot to tell the fire department I would burn to death, so the trucks came. There were lights and sirens on this time. The men that came couldn't let me go, and I laughed and laughed in a red night glow, tried to be a planted garden inside of a pain ghost, the magazine collector, who was also a house fire, left her chimney in the frame of my bedroom window. This year, I will get a new wood-burning stove. We will consult experts, so temperatures will be easier to control. The ghosts will be warm this winter. The men that come will tell us the stovepipe must also be replaced. I will convince everyone who lives here not to fear the heat. It was us. We brought fire to that lady's house. I have always been a house fire. There are chimney fires every year in this house. The thing about wood burned is that it is hard to regulate temperature. It is too hot or not warm enough. We have had experts and city fire stop by. They don't stay for coffee and know us by name, which is how it is in a small town. We tend to lay blame at the feet of anyone who resided here before, like any good witch hunt. Maybe the people with small dogs who raised rabbits and kids, or it might have been the homesteaders who built this house. They had goats and chickens and carved their names into the skin of this place. The first house fire was at age 3. Smoke is what I remember best, and my mother, and being tired under a scratchy blanket in a cold fire truck with no lights. We were staying with friends, which I didn't know for most of my life meant homeless. I did not learn who was to blame for most of my life either. It was just some stuff on the heater. After that, my mother was extra careful about wood floors, floor heaters, things on them, and toys inside. When you yell into vents, it echoes and lives there. I am the best at starting fires. In the worst years of my addiction, which is all of them, I was issued fire protective gear, complete with red suspenders and a hard hat. I was paid by our landlord to set fire to our barn. We dragged in a house and also several million homes. It had to be torn down after the livestock kept dying there. I forgot to tell the fire department I would burn to death, so the trucks came. There were lights and sirens on this time. The men that came couldn't let me go, and I laughed and laughed in a red night glow, tried to be a planted garden inside of a pain ghost, the magazine collector, who was also a house fire, left her chimney in the frame of my bedroom window. This year, I will get a new wood-burning stove. We will consult experts, so temperatures will be easier to control. The ghosts will be warm this winter. The men that come will tell us the stovepipe must also be replaced. I will convince everyone who lives here not to fear the heat. It was us. We brought fire to that lady's house. I have always been a house fire. Part 1. He is a cactus unable to bloom, with spears so thin they are invisible. They grow longer while his flesh sucks down and in. By the minute, it seems, he hollows himself. And I am all water bucket, slopping from work to home to work to home like a tidal wave that leaves puddles of itself everywhere. Even though I know better, I find myself melting when he is around, which is less often these days. I remind myself how toxic I must be. My memory is so porous, I only remember rules about watering desert plants after I have tried to drown my flowerless child. And I am certain I will kill him. All I have is water. Part 2. There is a reddish-pink shadow behind the gray-black pencil shavings of this self-portrait that is not a self-portrait. I sneak up behind him and attempt to catch him in bloom, something I am not meant to see. And I wonder who the gardener is. I think maybe I love them already. Although he is still all knives when he knows I am there, my child, who is not a child, cannot hide the new strength of his limbs, the green grown from whatever sun he faces, and I find myself at the wide part of the river, glass-like and slow, less likely to spill out of where I am, comfortable just to know that he grows. I do not know how it is that I take up more space and still manage where I go. I can see there is a bloom coming, flashes of color just out of eyesight, and it is so hard to hold on to this stillness. I am bound by moonlight, only this rhythm feels more like dancing than a summer storm. Part 3. He has pinky red petals, undeniable, bright in morning light, and even at dusk they unfurl from new growth. I am almost certain those thorns I could not see are smaller, although I am still afraid to touch one. He has shared glimpses of this new light source. Moments are what we have these days, and I lap it up. I am a thirsty ocean, and somehow our green is the same, but it is not the same, and I wonder how a desert flower can grow so close to this body of water. He tells me he does not mind water anymore, says brine on his skin is all he has ever known. My child hands me bouquet love from thornless fingers like soft petals. He has more flowers than he knows what to do with, he tells me. He wants me to meet his poet friend, the green thumb that is his yellow star inside a blue sky, this person whom I have already fallen in love with, who holds our small world, a planet of water, in orbit and is still so far away. Mom, can't you already see the sunsets?
I have always sought, even unconsciously, to return to my bounteous garden of supernal excellence. Separated from my peerless sweetheart, I dance on blades of innumerable desires in a dark web of allure, illusions, and entanglements. It took me eons of struggle, spinning on a seemingly endless carousel of cravings and enticements before maturing sufficiently to let go of pain, to yield my regrets and self-made enchantments to your tender, intimate, loving call. So here we are, two lovers beneath the twilight evening, blowing kisses to the moon, or smiles now radiant messages of love, shimmering lights across constellations in the Andromeda galaxy. My smile is your sunflowers, your gaze my meadows, as we both entwine in this realm of delight. You have brought me elegance, an indelible moonlit beauty, planted it so firmly in my soul that my heart mimics your glory. Like flowers, like rainbow hues, I have 1,000 things to tell you. Yet my tongue remains mute, and I speak only in the solitude of sweet silence, permeating the universe, transmitting messages of our ecstatic love. Having experienced remorse and despair, peace now prevails as I stargaze with you guiding my sight, your cute silhouette caressing my agony of longing and the cute kisses of fire. Me, now a full-fledged mariner of light, continuing my way to the New Jerusalem. Some say the redbreast is graceful in flight. I know naught of our ascent, nor of the red carpet of indulgences that you offer me, a spoiled child once lost, nor returning to his celestial banquet. I dance with Orion and burn with sweet flames of 100 phoenixes. Turning within to the mystery of self, my feet dance to your rhythms, while my coat takes time in welcoming symphonies, almost too powerful in the delightful harmonies. I swoon in your familiar ocean of ecstasy, a prodigal returning to his lover's kingdom. Aye, what a trip it is in this chimera of life. I trample on countless sparks of life in my challenges, so caught up in the illusion that I forget I'm the ocean and not the drop, with my kindred drops equally oceans as I deal with my shadows to find my way home to love.
I live in a graveyard where my best friend is buried. The headstone reads, Mother. But the dates don't mark her birth or death, only the years since she stopped being mine. 2 years I've been bringing flowers to a grave that's never been dug, talking to silence, kneeling in a boneyard of memories where conversation used to bloom like lilies. And before you offer condolences, I should clarify. She isn't dead, but pieces of her, pieces of us, pieces of the woman who was both mother and best friend are buried just the same. She says, I tell too much, go too deep. My schedule, a storm she can't step into, but she can rattle off every gymnast score, tell you who the last 10 gold medalists are, quote Serena's tennis stats like scriptures, as if they were her daughters, as if their accomplishments were worthy of her praise and remembering, but she can't tell you the last time I got a perfect 30 or the names of any of my poems she cheers strangers in arenas while my victories echo empty in a graveyard. And I can't help but wish she was my biggest fan like they get. See, poetry became my drug, my dopamine hit. The page was my catharsis, the stage my rescue. Poetry gave me breath when grief tried to smother me. It split me open, stitched me whole, and whispered, you are still here. It carried me across the country, let me tell my stories in rooms full of strangers who somehow became family. I wish I had someone who knew the backstory behind every victory, the footnotes behind every poem. Now, those conversations happen only in the graveyard. Every story is a mausoleum, every laugh a tomb I keep dusting off, hoping it'll open back up. It's so much easier to bury the dead than to bury the living parts of yourself that die while they still breathe. How do you mourn someone who still answers the phone but never answers you? I walk in the cemetery of us. Alone, weeds climbing over silence, roses wilting on lips that used to cheer me on. She still walks this earth, but every time I reach for her, I find only dirt. And so I mourn her, not her death, but the burial of our bond. I grieve the conversations we've lowered in the coffins, the laughter sealed in tombs, the love that now speaks only in epitaphs. My mother still breathes, but my best friend is gone.
Ode to the Black girl in the small city. They will constantly tell you you are not black enough. When you frequent the local Walmart and not a bodega, say your city ain't city enough if it don't city like the Bronx, like Chicago, Oakland, Detroit. The posture of your tongue too proper. Need a little bit of slouch to it, a little city slick or country twang. Put a little gangsta lean in your dialect. Apple cider vinegar in your vernacular. It must be all them white schools. Got you sounding quite colonizer, them schools that don't buzz unless the bullets fly. These big city schools will ring your bell before you can be saved by it. You was ducking goose, but they ducked the police, so somehow that makes them better. More black girl magic, like you ain't have to learn how to both stand out and disappear in a small city. Because when black girl becomes talk of the town, it is when someone is reading her obituary. But in real cities, no one reads the obituaries. They stack them up and watch them fall when the wind blows. The honorary rest in peace t-shirt ain't as soft. See, you gilding soft. Bitch made. But baby girl, what if I told you you don't have to fight for your blackness? You were given it as a birthright. Signed, sealed, delivered, a malleable dream. Shape it into whatever feels like home. Even if it is a small town, a forgotten place, overlooked and obsolete, they may never understand how you be broken mirror whisper of who they are, but the skin will always speak louder.
Lean into the winter shadows of 5:13 p.m., the push of a cat's cheek onto your toes, the old dryer purring with a belly full of cotton, the girl sing-song in bedroom, the cutting board oiled and resting, the slices of a melting sun within blinds, the coldness of flooring, a prelude to December, the pines creating fringed bangs onto horizon, the moods all around lifting and settling diurnally, the dangling pothos folding over books, sighing, the dog sleepy-eyed with dredges of dusk, the crusting of night lifts the moon, the posture of day slinks into sleep. By way of imagination, I am embraced by softened eyes and a voice like browned butter, just simmering and right off the stove to temper, skin like a sort of bloom of another world, which could be taken in like a feverish wine bender, soaking up time like a porous cork and beg it to stay still like a good dog. If I scream hard enough through the power grid, he'd hear me. We'd be two, experiencing deliberate high voltage electricity. May take a little extra time. It could involve any location, a curious risk of proximity and logistics. He'd listen with an ear close to the thermals, whispering within the power lines and reply, "Hold on, hold your hands up to the sky, stretched and ready. If you stay put, in the right weather, you can catch it." Love like a lightning rod, my 12 o'clock shadow gone rogue, my mind and all its parts, and even the piece left over on the table.
Togetherness blends into the exquisite beauty and diversity of this magical global sphere. Sunset allows the darkness to a night that inspires restorative calm, just as ebony enhances the color of white on a classroom chalkboard. The violin is paramount to the entire orchestral instruments, and our darling rose is proud of its thorns just as much as the entire garden of love. Successful organizations have principles that read like scriptures in their wisdom. And Dale Carnegie was very aware of the interconnected network that made things work, of team spirit and of leadership. Love is the life tree and humanity are its branches. The West, with more mature citizens and poor in resources, would struggle without the produce from arable lands, natural resources, and the migration of younger workers from Africa. We are designed to serve one another, to share, something the ancients knew long before greed, power, and control came into the equation. I feel a necessity to love, to cohabit, for warmth, food, shelter, and air, just as humanity does. We share a need for the bathroom, take birth, live and die in harmony with cosmic laws. Being harmonious relies heavily on empathy, an aspect of the love divine. It is the seed of gratitude that weaves together like a marvelous Chinese brocade, merging the other virtues, blending us together like flavoring does to the jollof rice and jerk chicken, delicioso. Duality teaches that liberation and ignorance are as interwoven as light and darkness. We cannot feel joy without sorrow, and I measure shadow by the light that I perceive. Seasons work in harmony, and when the bitter cold of winter fades, we become blessed and nourished by the sublimity and beauty of spring. Summer shares its fertility and radiance, enhancing our moods. The cinnamon hues of autumn's fall inspires evening walks and romantic trysts. An unchecked rise in blood pressure stresses the adrenals, causing the kidneys to react. This can make it hard for the heart to endure. We see here that even the body relies on an internal synergy, feels an intuitive interconnectedness. Europeans crossed the vast ocean in search of a better life. They soon realized the value of a United States of America and became an empire. Yet colonizers, ironically, used the ways of divide and conquer to subdue the indigenous, even though they understood the principles of a united strength. They are still cautious of the Ubuntu community spirit of Africans. Togetherness is the inexpressible joy of the soul. When the home is harmonious, the community aspires. This brings peace to the city, spreading its healing rays to the nation, nay, to the world itself, for nothing stands alone. Life itself is spirit, all pervasive, all wisdom, and all powerful. May we all live in that spirit of oneness, the I am that I am. May the beloved find our hearts door wide open, so that the light of love will flood our souls with wonder, permeating each life with awe and bewilderment.
Root. I started bending before I ever knew what standing felt like. My foundation was already shaking before I learned my first prayer. I bent to keep the peace, twisted myself into quiet corners to hide family secrets that didn't belong to me. Folded my childhood into a vault because survival required silence and silence required obedience. As an only child, I became a shock absorber wearing a little girl's face, catching every emotional ricochet my mother couldn't control. There was no sibling to pass the weight to, no second pair of hands, no backup spine, just me, bending so she didn't break. My root chakra didn't grow, it braced, sacral. My womb became a lesson in loss. I bent my body into a coffin of secrets, contorted myself into a quiet grief because no one knows what to do with a woman carrying a child she never got to hold. I swallowed my scream until it dissolved on my tongue. I almost lost my life, bringing life that never got to stay. And still bent myself small to make the world comfortable so nobody gagged on the truth of my motherhood. My sacral chakra flickered, trembling like a candle in a storm, trying to warm a room nobody wanted to enter. Solar plexus, I spent years dimming my fire on command. I bent to be agreeable, twisted into easy going, shape shifted into no worry, shrank myself into whatever y'all need, I got. I became the friend who only got invited when she could perform, the emotional mule carrying burdens that never came with reciprocity, the therapy session masquerading as a person. Every time I tried to glow, someone asked me to shield the light. And I did, and I did, and I did until my power center was nothing but secondhand flames and smoke. Heart, love taught me to bend in ways I still ache from. In marriage, I twisted scripture, reshaped my faith like clay to fit inside a man who only wanted obedience, never my questions. He called it God, Allah. I called it survival, and survival looks a lot like surrender. When you've bent so long, you forget your body had boundaries. I love from a place of fear, built a home out of scarcity, constructed a devotion that looked holy on the outside, but it hollowed me out on the inside. My heart chakra cracked under the pressure, but I kept smiling because broken things can still perform throat. My silence wasn't weakness, it was currency. I contorted my tongue into something soft enough to keep arguments quiet, into something sweet enough to keep people close, into something small enough to be tolerated. I choked down questions, gagged on truth, swallowed entire storms to keep fragile egos from drowning. I bent my voice until it sounded like gratitude for things that were actually grief. My throat chakra learned to hold its breath. Third eye, I stopped recognizing the woman in the mirror. I bent my intuition so violently it started limping, ignored every whisper that sounded like leave, every tug that felt like rest, every vision where I was whole instead of useful. I contorted myself into the version everybody else preferred and woke up one day with a face I didn't recognize. My third eye was open, but terrified to see me. Crown. Then one day, I started unbending, straightened my spine one vertebrae at a time, stopped folding myself for the comfort of people who never once checked for my bruises. And suddenly I was different, distant, selfish, but hear me now. There is nothing selfish about a Black woman reclaiming her body from the contortion she was praised for. Nothing wrong with a spine returning to its rightful shape. I am done bending at the altars of expectation, done twisting my joy into shapes that fit inside someone else's story, done being stretchable, bendable, so very pliable for everything except my own becoming. I am alignment, breath, the shaking of a foundation finally rebuilding itself. I am every chakra humming back into harmony. If you want a version of me, you'll have to take the one that stands tall, rooted, sacred, powerful, loving, honest, clear, and whole. A Black woman, unbroken, unbent, and unapologetically divine. My spine is a ceremony now. Watch me rise.
1. Decide how to flavor this moment. Salt pork, smoked turkey, ham hock. Place in a searing hot pan with onions, garlic, the essentials. Yes, we cut the onions to hide our tears. We mince the garlic and our words. Don't you dare pretend powder will replace these. 2. Flatten out the leaves. Roll 3 at a time and slice each roll into thin pinwheels. This is where mommy tells you the story about her grandma and how she used to cut her greens. Says never use scissors, always use a chef's knife. There's no real science behind this, just how it's always been done, as far back as she can remember. 3. Do not question tradition. Too many questions make it too noisy to hear the ancestors screaming. That's enough lorries. High blood pressure runs in this family. All the women chopping, cutting, pouring, telling tales of the ancient uncles, and you stay in a child's place. Pretend you are not listening. No, you best not repeat anything outside these 4 walls. 4. Add the first few fistfuls of greens to the pot. Stir the pot, but not the room. Wooden spoons only. Remember the time you said a little too much, and wooden spoon turned backhand, fat lip, silence is what holds this all together. We do not talk about Auntie's drug problem, why Rita no longer has her kids. Instead, let's talk about Junior's football scholarship, how he is definitely going to the league, all the examples of Black excellence we can muster amongst mustard greens. 5. Let the green simmer, and let this moment too. These are the times you will look back on. You will taste these memories every time you cook this meal. The setting may be different. People may have moved on. Remember, in a Black household, you only speak when spoken to, so these stories are all you have. You remember the Thanksgiving when Uncle Earl burnt the turkey, made it unedible, but no one cared. It was just a reminder that Uncle Joe wasn't around to cook the turkey. Say prayer over the table. Know that when Mama is gone, you will make these greens every year and wait for someone to say, damn, these taste just like I remember. 6. Don't get cocky. You're not the mac and cheese person. In fact, the last time you started making a roux and you got laughed at, they said, we don't do that over here. We are milk and egg custard people. Why? You haven't been listening. It's just how it's always been done.
I remember being a bedroom kid, finding fortress under covers from thundering throats and lightning bolts. I'm raising living room children, and as a mother, I am the living room. Where everywhere I go, three shadows follow, tickling toes, trail of toys march behind every step. I'm still a bedroom kid, still finding comfort in how alone fills the room, looking for the empty space, the way solitude bear hugged me. But these days, chaos stimulates the giggles turn to thunder. My babies are renewable energy sources. Some days they are stickers, Velcro babies, or marching bands, drumming, trumpeting in and out of formation, running on pure imagination. It gets overstimulating. Constantly making lemonade, being a sunny day all day, even when you are drowning. Being the different characters, wearing the different hats with only one set of shoulders. Every day, only one set of shoulders. My daughter asks me if I'm happy, and I wonder if she's asking because she sees a storm coming to brace for the thunder. I remember being a bedroom kid, finding fortress under covers from thundering throats and lightning bolts. I try my hardest to be a sunny day, but it's not always sunny in Philadelphia or New Jersey. The hardest thing about motherhood is learning to love myself every day, to lay night and wake morning and still love myself over and over again. How healing can exhaust a mind and body into a deflated lung, tenderize the cardiovascular system. I look at my children and see so much of myself, a reminder I can't afford not to love me. They think I'm a living room, a hiding spot, a safe space. I'm raising living room kids, and they are raising me.
DFY, Division for Youth, divided us from our family. Punishment for seedlings behaving reactively. We joke, called it down for years, comic relief to laugh off the tears. Stuck inside as I fought my case. Bail offered, but my family thought that's a waste. Let her pay for the consequences of her actions, even when they were basic propagation. Easier to let me wilt alone in the darkness of jail than shine sunlight on the many ways they have failed. I once was told I didn't realize how beautiful I was. How could I, when all my life they only pointed out my flaws? Oh, she's so skinny. Why don't you comb your hair? Always looking like a boy. You should at least dress like you care. I shrank behind their pine trees, swallowing my cries. Their allelopathic properties deny me the ability to photosynthesize. I'd do anything to repulse the advances of men. I just never expected to be denied soil and water by the woman. Their insults paraquat, exasperating my childhood trauma. Yet all was eclipsed by the mold down restraints and DFY drama. I contemplated several times cutting my wrists, but I lacked the degree of selfish, so I became a masochist. I'd cut the inners of my stems and roots, places easiest to hide where no one looks, until I traded blades for ink and hues, the adulting way of coping with unhealed abuse. Now, my body blooms in artwork worn, each tattoo a petal from emotions torn. Healthier coping, my psychiatrist says. Progress is a garden, grown in tiny threads. I haven't reached for new body art in a while. Healing has softened where pain used to pile. Happiness unlocked the day I found the key, embracing all the ugly and the beauty in and outside of me. My showers became rainstorms where my wildflowers bloom. Now the aroma of my confidence turns heads as I enter a room. Freud's theory of evolution, defense mechanisms take on many forms. So don't pick the flower if you can't handle her thorns. Never been a girl's girl, don't trust no bitches. Always been a tomboy, broken bones and stitches. I hate those prissy, gossipy, broken nail little whiners. Give me sports, bars, beers, cigars, and recliners. Closest female friends always been lesbians. Straight ones come around flirting and try to fuck your man. Never trust no hoes was the code that I lived by. Till I met this one girl and we saw eye to eye. Like looking in the mirror, my ride or die. And though she's strictly dickly, I trust her with my life. She's loyal as hell and the realest I ever met. A friend I never forgive or forget. See, most don't come with a warning sign. They smile in your face, then scheme behind. You're their cheerleader, but they envy your game, want to dress and talk like you, clout chase off your name. After so much betrayal, something in me snapped. I disassociate now. I don't get attached. Not everyone's built to love like you do, and thinking they are, that'll hurt you. I'm a straight up bitch. What you give, you get. Take it how you want, promise, not a threat. Honestly and respect, that's a start, a must. But cross me once and you'll lose that trust. I don't do fake, I don't do stress. Say what you feel, don't make me guess. I'll ride for you hard when life gets rough. Can't solve it all, but I'll show up tough. Don't take my kindness for being weak. That'll be the last time we ever speak. The best moves I've made, void of regrets and blisters, was cutting off people who handed me scissors. As an empath, I'm forced to feel, to carry wounds that never heal. Each tear my ancestors once cried still lives in me deep down inside. Their grief, their love, their silent screams now haunt my nights and shape my dreams. I feel the weight they couldn't shed, 1,000 ghosts inside my head. I can't switch off, I can't ignore the pain that knocks on every door. I soak it in, the good, the bad, the aching hearts, the lives gone mad. So I retreat, I disappear to calm the storms I pull in near. In solitude, I find my way to fight tomorrow and feel today. I've written truths they've never voiced. I speak for those without a choice. Yet still it stings how few will own the wounds we share, but leave unknown. I once thought I had cracked in two, but now I know I am the glue. Not broken, no. I'm built to mend, to feel, to carry, and transcend.
For years I have dried the tears of many birds, not just pigeons. I have spiritual bonds with nature's aviators. They understand me, and I understand them. It's people I can't understand. Humanity has bit too much more off than it can chew, from Mother Nature's eternally sacrificing and giving hands. It hurts me to see the way people hurt each other, the way hurt people, the way we all hurt. It's a shame how the rest of the planet suffers because of so much hurt. Humanity needs to learn and apply the lesson of turning negatives into positives as opposed to combating negatives with negatives, but I digress. As I flew towards the sun, I felt I was chasing the horizon forever. Arnold, life is so much different when your head is in the clouds. Everything feels so much smaller. You, me, the troubles that we face, the world, and everything in it. Despite of all the things I've seen, the places I've been to, the birds I have befriended, I haven't been able to meet another Arnold. Your kindness is a mighty flame that brings warmth and light to anyone who comes close enough. Empathy is an ability that is becoming lost in time, and my time is coming to an end. Arnold, don't be sad. I am but a man whose head is in the clouds. But you have time on your side to be the link that binds human and bird together. Never give up, trust your instincts, and reach for the sky. I miss you. Warm regards, Vincent. P.S. Always wash your berries before eating them and fly towards the sun. Finally, The Rock has come back to Thanksgiving dinner. The Rock doesn't care much about the dinner itself, you see. It doesn't matter if there is turkey, mashed potatoes, and gravy, or that pile of grade A monkey crap you call green bean casserole. For all intents and purposes, The Rock says you can stuff that turkey with that pile of monkey ass or whatever you call it, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter what you call it. You could take that along with as much mashed potatoes as possible, stuff that turkey with it, lube that bird up with as much gravy, turn that sumbitch sideways, and proceed to shove it straight up your candy ass. Right now, The Rock wants you to do two things, and that's nothing and like it. Right now, the most electrifying man of all sports and entertainments, the Brahma Bull, the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, all around smack it down people's champ, The Rock, came here to the head of the people's table without a shadow of a doubt for one reason only. And The Rock means one reason only. The Rock came here for pie. It could be any kind of pie. It doesn't matter what pie. It could be apple. It could be blueberry. It could be pumpkin. It could be pecan. The Rock will consume millions and millions of calories, bite by bite by damn bite, and fill up the people's stomach with that culinary miracle. But when it's all said and done, when it comes to pie, The Rock says, just bring it. But what does The Rock see? The Rock sees brownies, cheesecake, cookies, but no pie. Whoa, 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 whoa. What in the blue hell is wrong with you, you sick freak? Don't you like pie? Before you respond, know your role and shut your mouth, jabroni, and get in the people's vehicle. Let's go in for a drive together. The Rock will take you down Know Your Boulevard, which is on the corner of Jabroni Drive. And then we'll check you directly onto the SmackDown Hotel, where you will go one-on-one with the Great One. And The Rock will proceed to lay the SmackDown all over your Rudy Poo candy ass. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Sonoma County sky shines like a tarnished silver spoon. We drive through quietly like we are part of a funeral procession or in an apocalypse. I take note of what is alive and how much is dead. Poison oak this time of year resembles brush fire. California fires are out of season, which is to say we are not sexy enough for the news. This country is bored with how hot we are. Crows gargoyle fence posts while they wait for something to die. Wild oleander blooms alongside these highways, its bell-shaped blossoms a stand-in for early summer poppies. There used to be more flowers here, littered along roadsides. They might have been choked out or dried up like it was on purpose. Gifts for your grandmother who has everything. Either way, this ground seems poisonous or poisoned. I scan the horizon for coyotes. Instead, there are thirsty cattle sprawled beneath wind gusts. Neither seem to mind borders on fire-retardant land. Recently, I've asked if I'm Indian enough, like a good Indian. Mosquitoes can live just about anywhere. An elder reminded me abuse language cannot change DNA. Sometimes smoke is necessary. While we walked hand in hand into a firestorm, I wondered if I was a good daughter. He laughed at our blisters. When I asked
If it was borders or wind I listened to, he said, "You are little thunder. You are wildflowers, coyote, rain for a brush fire. You are the wind."
Part 1, called Homestead in Reverse. I cannot remember when I first put my bare hands in the earth, dug my fingers in to watch something I planted ungloved grow into a bigger thing. My mother tells me I leave gardens where I've been, a trail of seeds instead of crumbs to help me find my way back. There are days when all I can do is sit in one of these places, these constructed outdoor rooms, to learn how to breathe again. Other times I pull metaphors from this ground like weeds, or climb our green hummingbird's tree to feel the wind's difference there. Even though our harvest is small, wild honeybees find blossoms here year-round. Part 2. My dad carries his harmonica everywhere. I was told to write this poem by my friend, to leave assignments I have due for a moment to let seep out what I try so hard to keep in. I thought I would have more time to get this down, to learn how to play, to rearrange the words so they fit together, so I fit together. I know why my dad keeps music in his shirt pocket. This is all I have when I fuck up and cannot forgive myself, or when I love you but cannot say it out loud, or that I need help and I cannot ask for it. I cannot fit my feelings into my mouth. I cannot see how that is even possible. This is my version of a blues song. 3. Sleeping with a COVID infection is a misstep off the dock at high tide. It is night skiing in a summer dress. I don't even have the energy for bad dreams. Unsure if these hours even count, I am propped up while I dream cry, wiping tears off my closed eyes, unaware. I was late to this party, showed up to get drunk on cold meds just to disappear down the tilted hallway. We played hooky to read symptoms like tea leaves. The last 2 months have been an eye-water almost sneeze, a missed bus. Every part of my face stings and I get to breathe, even if it is through a thick layer of propaganda. I get to breathe. 4. His bed remains unslept in. Occasionally, one of us will inspect it to see if it's been disturbed. It hasn't. It does not get moved or used by anyone else. It is left there for me. They know, I believe, he will come back. I miss coming home to find a big smile on his face, corkscrewed around my heart. I could use one of his hugs right now. I have images of his lopsided smile, these moments we realized it was good for both of us. I am reminded often he was not ours, which I already knew, did not expect, foolishly allowed myself to hope for. He has too much goodbye, and not enough belongs here. There wasn't enough time for us to have both. Part 5. There is a pink stain on a ledge near the shower. It is so faint you would only notice it if you already knew where to look. This remnant fades like hair color, still reminds everyone her brightness. She was so close to perfect here, small things spattered, wiped away, forgiven instantly for all the light she brought in. I have known for many years I only wanted 2 children, who are almost grown now. I call this child my daughter. I am afraid of what that means. She loves her mother, worries less about messes she might make in her own home. I still wonder if she's allowed me in, if somewhere in her heart there's a faded pink spot that only she knows where to find.